All right, what's going on, you guys? We are back. Yes, we are back in full effect. Last week was election week, and I came on. It was just me, kind of doing a monologue, kind of sharing some ideas that I thought would be able to help you guys move the needle forward in your life. But this week we are back with another phenomenal guest that we're going to get to here in just a minute. But if this is your first time joining us, this is Elite Performance with Dr. Brad, and I'm your host, Dr. Brad. This is the show where high achieving men, I'm talking about men who going after something. Listen, if you ain't going after something, and if you ain't excited about going after something in life, this just may not be the show for you. I'm gonna just be real with you. However, if you're excited about success, but not just success and fulfillment in life, this is a place where high achieving men come to learn how to succeed at work and win in life. And like I said, I'm Dr. Brad. I'm a performance coach. And so I help high achieving men perform at a high level in all areas of life so that you can succeed at work without neglecting your personal life and fulfillment. And so this show is the perfect combination of both faith-based and performance principles to be able to help men do three things: prioritize your faith, maximize your performance, and pursue your purpose. And so here's what you can expect on this show. You can expect that I will pour into you and give you great information every single time you watch this. I'm gonna give you great information. As a matter of fact, every single guest that I bring is going to give you phenomenal information and education. However, you have a responsibility too. See, I'm gonna give you phenomenal information every single time we come on here, and so is my guest, but it's gonna be your responsibility for the application. See, I don't just come on here on Tuesday just to make sure that I can hear myself talk and say something clever. No, I come here for your transformation. And the formula for that is I'll give you the information. My guest will give you the information. You put in the application of that, and then there will be transformation. So this is a two-way street. I'm going to put out my hand to shake your hand, sir, and say, look, let's agree that I show up, you show up, and everybody gets transformed. So here's the deal. Like, share this information right now, right? If you're watching this on a replay, like and share this. If you're watching this live, like and share this so you can bless another man who's out here. Ladies, if you're on board, we appreciate you. We appreciate you watching. But let somebody that you know who is a man who's trying to make things happen in their life know about this, and tell them to go ahead, pull out their pen and pad and take some notes today. And so as always, I always like to start off with something that is just on my mind, something that has been, that I've kind of been pondering, that I think would not only be able that has not only helped me, but is, I think it's something that would be able to help you guys. And so I want to talk about greatness. I'm going to talk about greatness today, but I want to start off by talking about greatness by asking you this question. Have you ever gotten to a point to where you've gone after a goal and you didn't achieve it? And you failed to achieve some specific goal that you were trying to go after, and you felt horrible. Have you ever beat yourself up like after you didn't achieve something? And you felt bad, or maybe it's taking so long to achieve something. It's like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I really have it in me. If you've ever felt like that, man, listen, I know exactly how you feel. See, several weeks ago, I had to come to this conclusion that I was beating myself up too much because I hadn't experienced the success that I was trying to experience in certain areas of my life. And it seemed like it was just happening too slow. And I was just like I was beating myself up. And here's what's crazy. I have a lot to be thankful for and happy for. I have so much to be thankful, but because I didn't win in one area, guess what? I started to take that loss or current loss and apply that to my own self-worth. I started to take whether I was winning or losing and apply it to my own personal self-worth. And I started looking at a pattern that I only felt good about myself if I was winning. Anybody ever feel that way before? Like if you're losing, it's almost like your worth and your value goes down. But if you're winning, your worth and your value goes up. So it begged the question for me, like, man, who am I really? Am I defined by my wins and my losses? Am I defined by what someone else says? Right? Am I dependent on anything outside of me to be able to allow me to know that I'm great? And I started realizing, like, man, my worth I'm attaching to whether I'm winning or not. So let me tell you a very stark reality that I came to, and that is the same truth for you. You are not your wins. You are not defined by your wins. You are not defined by your losses. You are not defined by what someone else says. You are not defined by your past. You are great simply because God said so. See, don't get me started today. You are great simply because God said so. Look, if he created me, I'm gonna trust him. I'm gonna just be real. Like he created Earth, he created me, he created you. And here's what's crazy. I came to this conclusion that, you know what he actually says about me is true. I'm not defined by my wins or my losses. He says, I'm fearfully, wonderfully made. He says that I am made in his image. Let's break this down real quick. Made in God's image. I am great because he said so and for no other reason. But then it begged the question for me. It's like, well, if that's the case, right? If I'm great, that means other people that God created, all these people are great. But what's the separator? What's the difference between greatness being displayed? You know what I realized is that everybody is great on another level of great. The question is, are you going to believe it enough? Are you going to believe that you just have intrinsic greatness and value? Because if you believe that, and if you truly believe that, guess what? Your actions and your behaviors show it. But your thoughts, how you think about yourself, will not be dependent upon your results. Because you're just going to simply say, dude, I'm great. I lost. That's all right. I learned. Like, I'm great. And allow you to be able to get back up. And allow you to be able to say, you know what? I am great. But the question is, are you going to believe it in order to take action? I say this all the time. Your belief influences your behavior. So if you truly believe that, truly believe what he says about you, guess what? Your behavior will reflect it. So I'm going to challenge every single person watching this today. I'm a big believer in affirmation, speaking to myself. We speak to ourselves more than anybody else. Okay. I want you to create an affirmation. And I want you to start saying this affirmation every single day. I want you to say this affirmation to say, I am great because God said so. Not for any other reason. I am great because God said so. You might even want to write in there, I'm not defined by my wins. I'm not defined by my losses. But here's what I'm going to tell you. The more you believe in what I'm telling you right now, you will just start seeing your actions and your behavior simply reflect that underlying belief that you are great, period. And the more you double down on who you are and who he's called you to be and have the courage to embrace that, I want you to watch what ends up happening. I want you to write the affirmation down. And I want you to start saying that every single day. Repetition is the key to mastery. All right, you guys? Man, I'm pumped up. I already told Vic. I already told my guest today. I said, Vic, they're not ready today. They're not ready today. We about to turn up today. So, Nakia, I see you. Appreciate you. Yes, that's right. Hand clap for sure. So let me introduce my guest. He's a recent friend, just an awesome guy. His name is Victor Johnson. Mr. Victor Johnson. He's an author, speaker, real estate investor, certified credit consultant. He's got an amazing story. We're going to talk about that today. I didn't know this, but he's known as Victor the Money Mentor. If I'd have known that, I should have reached out to this dude a long time ago. I'm mad that I'm just meeting him, as a matter of fact. But he combines his financial literacy knowledge and inspirational anecdotes and charismatic inspiration on live stages, virtually, and all over social media, to cover credit, money, health, real estate investing, and all things related to entrepreneurship. He's going to tell you his story about how he went from horrible credit, living paycheck to paycheck, to be able to create some financial wealth and independence. He's got an inspirational book called Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness. He travels everywhere speaking about entrepreneurship, inspiring people and coaching people of how to manage their money in a great way. As a matter of fact, he's on the road right now making money. Reason I thought he was a great fit for the show, he's just a man of purpose. He's a man of faith. He's a man of three things we talked about, you know, success and fulfillment. But I love his nuggets on LinkedIn. when he's always talking about Monday mindset. He's just a phenomenal guy. But listen, I can go on and on and on. Let me go ahead and bring on my friend, Mr. Vic Johnson. What's going on, man?
Man, thank you so much, Dr. Brad. I appreciate that. You just made my day, but one, because of that great introduction, but two, I must be doing something right. I must be a high achieving performer to be even in this seat. So thank you so much for the invite, brother. It means a lot to me.
Well, man, I mean, honestly, I've seen you, we've got a couple people, mutual friends, and I started seeing your stuff on LinkedIn, and I was just like, you know how it is, man. Like attracts like. I saw your information, I saw your energy, and I was just like, I got to have him on. You and I have both spoke on the National Men's Prayer Call, and I know if Johnny Mack and Reggie and these guys had you on there, I was like, all right, man, like we just got to make this happen. So we connected. I'm glad we did, man. And so now I want to bless some people, man. But let's jump right in, man. You got a great story. Today we're gonna be talking about overcoming adversity, and you, my friend, have overcome some adversity. Which one thing I tell people all the time is, man, one thing that you can guarantee as a husband, father, business owner, Christian, whatever the case may be, you're gonna have some adversity guaranteed. So the better you can overcome it, yes. That'll be able to help you. So let's jump into this story, man. How'd you get to where you are now?
So I grew up in the Bay Area, single mom, food stamps, government cheese, like many men or women out there that come up in the neighborhoods like I grew up in. But grew up in the East Bay, which is like the Oakland, Richmond area of the Bay Area during the 80s. So things were a little bit tougher. I later, of course, got reacquainted with my dad and stuff. But as a young man and a teenager, my dad wasn't a huge person in my life. So I had to kind of reach out to other people, boys clubs and things like that. But we grew up pretty much pillar to post. My grandmother was a huge factor for me. And then ultimately at the age of 17, I ended up moving out of the Bay Area to Atlanta, Georgia, where my dad was with his family. He had another family and everything going on. So I did go to college for a minute, but some of the adversities that I faced, Dr. Brad, was that, of course, like many, started having kids early. I got to Atlanta, man, and lost my mind. 16, 17 years old, walking through these malls, seeing these young ladies. Hey, man, I'm sorry. It just early 90s. If you out there in your upper 40s, you know what I'm talking about in Atlanta in early 90s. I ain't gonna even throw it out there, but you already know how it was.
Oh, bro, I get it. Trust me. And I used to live in Atlanta. So I get it.
Mm-hmm. I remember you said that. And so for me, I wasn't as intelligent as I should have been. I started creating babies left and right. Ended up pretty quickly within the age of 17 to 21, I had 3 kids. And so instead of completing my college career, I found myself working and basically just grinding it out, 2 full-time jobs, just being a dad, stepping up to take care of my kids. And so that made it harder for me. The money that was coming in was going immediately back into childcare and infant and diapers and, apartment for me and my lady, things like that. But then I also found myself falling further behind with debt. I definitely wasn't saving anything. And this is a young man, and I'm in my early 20s, mid 20s now. And the crazy part that I tell a lot of people when I'm speaking, especially at colleges where there's other young men and young women, at that time in my life, I was still very ambitious. I was reading a lot. I wanted to pursue success in my life. So I was still learning, and the jobs that I had, I would find myself moving up, but I didn't have proper knowledge about money. So even as the money increased, the debts increased. And it just was a horrible cycle that I found myself in. Whereas I'm actually making 70, 80 grand a year in my late 20s, which I thought was good money at the time. But I was broke, bro. I was spending 100, 120 grand a year. So I was just getting further and further in debt. It was just a quicksand of debt. And so that's some of the hardships that I faced, along with many jobs that I was working for. So I was in the call center industry where I was running collection agency. That's the irony of all this. I'm like teaching people how to collect debts from consumers, but I'm going home avoiding the phone calls myself.
Wow, crazy, that's crazy, man. So that's crazy.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
how did you get to this point to where you're so horrible with money, right? Which, by the way, I'll say, I'm grateful to some mentors in my life who kind of showed me, a better way. But how'd you get to this point to where you turn things
Yeah.
around? I think sometimes people get to the point to where no matter what area of life that they may be uh, not doing well in, they almost get to a point like, is this ever going to change? Um, and so my guess is you probably were at that point at some point, like, I don't know how this is ever going to change. How'd you actually create change to where like you actually coach people on on wealth and financial
How about
investing,
that?
and what you do as a certified credit consultant?
So the funny thing about that, Dr. Braz, I really feel like me going through that pain, that hurt of not managing my money right, not being able to make decisions, not benefiting from having good credit, all of those pain points led me to a point where you're right. I hit a brick wall, and it's like I'm looking at kids that are getting older around me. I'm married now, and again, I'm still progressing in my corporate life, but the money was not there. And again, I'm further and further in debt, it seems like, with every decision I make. And so there was a particular weekend, and there were probably several of these, but there was one particular weekend that I would take my kids. I lived in Atlanta at the time still. And so I would take my kids every summer to either South Carolina or we were going to Florida. Well, this was the Florida summer. And I didn't even have my money together and my credit together where I could book things in advance, like hotels and rental cars. So I'm literally waiting for Friday when I get paid to shoot to the airport, rent a car, speed down to Florida so we can have maybe 2 full days of good times with my kids down there. And needless to say, it was the absolute worst vacation ever. Ticket on the way to Florida because, again, we're rushing. The hotel was crap. We couldn't do anything because I didn't have any spare money. And I'm looking at these kids who may not at the time realize what was going on, but I just felt so low, so much as a failure as a dad. But you're right. I was making good money. I'm doing good things. We're driving decent cars, but I just felt so broken as a man, and I just didn't feel like I could contribute to my kid's life. And that was a huge weekend for my transition.
Yeah, I was about to talk about that, man. I mean, again, we talking about change, and I see someone just said, "Yeah, it's exactly how I feel. Like, is it ever going to change?" Like, I completely get it. I mean, at this point, it sounds like you several years into the hamster wheel and the cycle that doesn't seem
Hmm.
to end of making the same decisions. Uh, you know, more month than more month at the end. Than money. I forget how they say it. You got
Then
more
money, right?
yeah,
Hmm.
more month than money. And I mean, bro, I mean, how did you feel at this point when you're just like, dude, what's I mean, take me back there, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel exactly how you're saying it. I felt speechless. I felt at times ashamed. And and the one thing I want to share with this audience, because I know it's other black men like me there, we can't always feel like we can share that with others. You know what I
Mm.
mean? You gotta hold that posterity, that posterior, like, I'm tough, we good. And I'm always a good spirited guy anyway. But there were some nights and days where I'm just like broken, heading to work, like, man, this is crazy. And so that weekend again, coming back home, driving back from Florida to Atlanta, those 8 or 9 hours, whatever it was, I'm looking in the rearview mirror. My kids are all asleep. My wife next to me, sleep, driving back. But I said this will be the last type of vacation we ever take like this. But more importantly, I got to make some immediate changes. And so at that point, I literally got home after that long drive and just pulled out a notepad and started writing down every single financial obstacle that was in my way. My credit, I pulled my credit. I looked at every single thing on my credit report. I looked at every bill that I had going out. And I actually, at the time, signed up for mint.com, mint.com. And I know a lot of people use that, or Personal Capital. It's just a budgeting app. And basically, it helped me to see where a lot of my lazy dollars, if you will, were going, like money eating out, uh, hanging out, doing stuff. I like to golf and stuff. So I'm spending way too much golfing or whatever when I could be putting that money towards debts, improving my credit. So that was the weekend that changed everything for me. And I got on this very vicious, I guess, discipline cycle to really attack my debt and get ahead.
You know, one of the things I've seen as a common thread, man, that gets us moving is pain. Pain seems to be
Yes.
this phenomenal mention. Uh-oh. There we go. Yeah. So can you hear me, Vic? Yeah, there's a couple things that
Yes.
you mentioned is that one, we don't like to talk about this stuff, man. Like we want to show on the outside everything is good, no matter what the struggle may be in our lives, right? Like we want to, show that, oh man, the family is good, even if the family ain't good. We want to talk about, oh man, the finances is good, even if the finances ain't good. We got that Facebook front, you know what I mean? All the time. And so we feel, but one of the reasons why we got to talk about this is so that we as men can be okay with saying, hey, look, man, it really ain't good. We got to start talking about it so that we can start changing some things is one. But the other thing is, like you said, sometimes it just pain ends up being such a big motivator for us. And at the time, it doesn't seem like anything we want to do. But at the end, I bet that was a blessing. Get to that point to where you like, never again is this going to happen, but it got you moving.
It changed my mentality. And that's the part that we have to be able to do is you have to be able to change the mindset, which is why I love doing my Mindset Mondays that you talk about, like on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram or whatever. I just feel like if we can approach, what is mindset? It's your approach to something. It's your philosophy of how you think of something. And so I changed how I looked at my money, instead of saying, man, it was funny. I had a client over the weekend that we helped him settle out this account. $600 account, he paid $300 for, and it's not a big deal to settle something, but the conversation was like, man, I just spent $300 for this bill. I said, bro, you just saved $300 paying off that bill. Just that simple shift in how you approach it changed everything. He's like, I didn't really think of it like that, and so I just started approaching my money differently. I started looking at my money as like a coworker. Like if I'm gonna be out here working hard, bruh, you got to get to work too. Where can I put you that makes you go to work so that when I come back and see you in a year, you're a bigger dude, you're a bigger dollar, you're less debt, you know what I'm saying? And I literally started treating my money as if it was an employee or a coworker or my business partner. And we in this together, bruh. If I'm gonna do some work, you got to do some work, and we need to be able to come together and be a bigger person in the next 6 to 12 months. And I literally took that approach, and it helped me to really tackle my debts and start attracting more favorable income.
So, man, let me ask you. So one of the things you said you got to that point and you immediately wrote down, in essence, you wrote down your problems. Like, you created a certain awareness of your problems, and you talk about mindset. I want people to understand we're talking about financial adversity. We're talking about overcoming a financial, obstacle. But I need you to extract from this, whatever you're going through, the keys to overcoming whatever it is that you're going through. Write down the issue, like become self-aware of what's going on, because you can't fix it if you can't be aware of it. So, I mean, there's so many nuggets of what you're talking about. Like you wrote it down and then you had to change your mindset. The question I have is this stuff that you knew already, but just wasn't applying, or, was, because I know you said you were reading.
That's a great question.
Like, yeah.
So one of my favorite books is Dr. Dennis Kimbro's Think and Grow Rich. So not the Napoleon Hill version, but the actual Dr. Dennis Kimbro version, where he speaks specifically to the Black lifestyle. And he talks about people like Oprah Winfrey, who overcame living in horrible conditions in South Carolina to become who she became, right? And so I used to read that book over and over again, and he just talked about the mindset. Again, he used a lot of principles that Napoleon Hill outlined in his version of the book, but it talked to me a little bit differently. So to answer your question, I knew a lot of those things and I was not applying them. But a combination of the pain and me being now motivated, totally different than I had been before. Now I could revisit this book and look at it almost as a reference guide. And then, of course, apply a lot of the, I'm right here getting all these classes from my job, and I'm not even applying this information to benefit me. And so I started using information that I had. You said it before in the intro. The application means everything. There's no transformation without the application.
Man, you know, one of the things that we have to do is sometimes, man, we got to stir up that pain. Like I'm gonna be real with y'all. If y'all watching this, like I need you to start feeling some of the pain that you're in. If and look, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be something related to your. It could be related to your faith. It could be related to your finances. It could be related to your health. It could be related to your job. I need you to get in a little bit of pain right now because here's what I know. If I put my hand on fire, I'm gonna move. If somebody put fire on my tail, I'm going to move because it's painful. And some of us have been sitting in the pain for so long, we can got used to it. You know, and so what I want to do is stir up some of that pain, man, so that you can start, you know, taking action. You just said it was the combination of your pain and starting to write down some of that stuff. That means pain was part of your plan, bro.
For sure. For sure. Now I'll caveat that by saying that the pain was probably, it definitely was stage one, but I couldn't sit in that pain. It had to become now, what's the victory? And the victory became me actually closing my eyes and visualizing the man that I wanted to become. Like I had to feel it, smell it, see it. What did he dress like? What did he look like? What did he eat? What time did he get up? What was his habits? I needed to pretend that I was already that dude. And then one day I looked up and I was that dude. Like for real, man. And people think it's mojo, you know, it's magic or what. No, it is God, it's faith, but it really is you believing that you are that person and seeing it. You gotta see it and then step into it. It's like almost reverse engineering. So the pain was step one. It's like, oh, this hurts. What do I gotta do to get out of this pain? Okay, write this down. Okay, now what does it look like on the other side of this thing? Oh, okay, I got a very vivid idea what that looks like. Let's go. So every day that became my motivation. It wasn't pain anymore. That was kind of like when I got weak, I would be like, I don't want to go back there. I need to be that dude straight ahead. And I kept pushing forward with that. So that's how I help a lot of my clients, man, is to really get them to see who they want to become. And then we go hard at it. Create your future self. That's my slogan. Create your future self.
I love that, man. I don't think people, matter of fact, I know people don't do enough mindset and belief work. And what I've seen is that more people try to change the actions and the behavior. So in your case, it would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna start budgeting or I'm gonna start saving. But the ability for that to stay consistent is going to be extremely difficult if there is not a vision of something deeper, if there's not a belief that's influencing the behavior.
Right.
And so you hit something on something key, man. You talk about mindset and with how successful you are, and we'll finish with the story, you guys, but I want to know how important do you think mindset is? And what is your mindset practice? What are your mindset practices to be able to overcome the adversity that you did now and be able to sustain growth in your life?
I love that question, Dr. Brad, because that's the magic potion right there, right? So the first thing is, how important is mindset? Absolutely 100% important, right? Because thoughts become things. If you can't envision it in your mind, then it can't become a reality for you, right? So it's super important. But then what are some of the exercises that I've implemented? Meditation for sure. So it could be as simple as going to YouTube, typing in business success. And I just find a meditation and I'll grab it for 20 minutes when I'm doing my morning walk or if I'm at the gym. That's what I'm listening to. I'm not listening to, no problem with some of these morning jocks that's on the radio. But what I'm listening to is something that's going to pump me up for the day. That's going to feed me with what I need for the day. So that's one of my big ones. Taking care of my health is very important. But then there's also a thing. I use now this technology with phones and tablets and laptops and stuff, notifications. I get reminders throughout my day of affirmations. You mentioned it before, you love affirmations. So I just have several affirmations that at 9:10 a.m. pop up. I get an alert. At 10:45 a.m., another alert that's feeding me some kind of positivity. So these are key points in my day that I know I'm going to be dealing with probably my most adversity, because I stack my mornings with my most challenging things. So my morning, I have about every 30 to 45 minutes notifications that give me, you got this. You're going to win this day. You're going to earn this today. You're going to overcome this. You're going to help this person. And that stuff feeds me throughout my day. So it may not work for everyone, but it definitely works for me and a lot of people that I work with.
No, Vic, let's be real. It's either it's working for you some way in your life right now. That's the thing. It's like you say it may not work for everybody, but here's the deal. Everybody is self-talking to themselves, which means that you are believing whatever narrative you giving yourself, whether you realize you're talking to yourself or not, right? If you look at something and you immediately say, oh, I ain't doing it. I can't, like, you're making decisions. Like, so we are simply, I love what you said, thoughts become things. So guess what? The thoughts that we have are creating the things that we got. So we can't be so mad at where we are when we the ones that's believing our own narrative that's going on in our head. So it works for everybody. Whether you like the result that you got right now may be another story, but you can change the narrative and you can change the story that you're telling yourself. I tell people all day, no. Look, these affirmations work. You affirm yourself in some way, shape, form, or fashion every single day. Now, it may be something that that's turning into something that you may not like, but you can actually use this with intention to be able to turn it into something that you want, to be able to have life look the way that you want. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, like, listen, he's talking about this mindset stuff. Visualize, thoughts become things. This is no game. He's talking about the secret sauce. This is it. This is it. I wish it was something else. I wish I could tell you, like, well, he just worked harder. I'm sure he put in work, but see, that work gonna become easier to just get up once he knows that he can. So I love it, man.
That's right. And you said it a moment ago, repetition, repetition.
Repetition is just going, because it's going better than the memory. I think I've heard some kind of crazy stat that, for every no or negative thought, it takes like 10 positive or yeses or a positive thought to replace that no. So if that's the case, man, I got to double and triple down on the positive things that I'm saying so that I can eliminate that negative stuff, because it becomes so easy for us to believe. Like, for some reason, it's easier for us to believe the negative than it is like the positive stuff, right? So you start gaining some traction. You start gaining some traction. How did you eventually, and here's the part that I love, and here's the part when I talk about purpose, this is what I love. You turn what was your past pain, mastered it, and then now have turned it into part of your purpose, so that anybody who was in your same position, you recognize the scars that you've had before. And you could say, look, man, I've had those scars and I know how to heal them. This is what I'm talking about, living on purpose. So how'd you get to that point to where you turn that pain into your purpose and passion, and now you blessing others by getting them out of the holes that you was in the past?
Absolutely. So another great question. And so again, at that point in my life, let's say now I'm a couple years into this journey where my credit has gotten better. I'm not managing my money the same way I used to. So things are getting better with every paycheck. There's a little bit of money being put aside. But the big thing was, again, I stayed true to, one, being faithful with, I knew that I was going to become the guy who I envisioned. And that guy was a guy who had great credit. He had enough savings. He had some investments going. His kids could be comfortable because our decisions were no longer made based on, do we have enough money, or could could we do that, this or that? And so what happened from there was, again, having a better attitude. I started showing up different to places. Opportunities started to show up everywhere because I was more aware of them. I was more positive. I was looking for things that would make me become that guy, right? So even in the job, I'm walking different. I got a different swagger. I'm speaking to people more. I'm smiling more. I just feel better as a person. And what do you know? My work is performing better. I'm becoming that high performing individual you talk about, and I get recognized for that. And so I started getting promoted, and of course the income got better. But there was one big thing that I love telling the story right here, Dr. Brett. So it was the middle of July 2013, and the company that I was working for in Atlanta was in the process of, basically within 12 months, they knew they were going to be shutting down. So we literally are calling our competitors to see if anybody wants to buy the rest of our portfolio. And so that became my new role. Instead of running the call center, I'm now trying to sell portfolio. Long story short, got laid on the phone. I was with a competitor. We end up talking on the phone probably 2 hours, just about industry, our business, some of the things that we wanted to, set a portfolio for. So she's like, all right, give me a couple days to think about it. Calls back in 2 days. We don't want this portfolio, but it was great talking to you. Sounds like you're going to need a job in a couple months. The job was in Austin, Texas, and that job, I ended up taking that job. So now I'm making double the salary I was making in Atlanta. I'm living in a city that at the time was about 12% lower cost of living. And we sold the house we had in Atlanta. So now we became debt free because we got some money back from the closing. So I basically moved to Atlanta. It's from Atlanta to Austin with double salary, no debt, and this strong mentality. And that's where it all just really got awesome. Started having different conversations, and got introduced to real estate investing. And yeah, we can talk about the next.
So let me ask you. First of all, I love the story, man. Because I really do feel like, I think it was Nakia was saying on here, like people get to a point where they really just feel like, I don't think things are going to change. And I love stories of change because I think there are a lot of people, man. I don't care how high achieving you are. If you have an obstacle in front of you, it really starts to seem like, I really don't think this is going to change. I really don't think I'm going to change. I really don't think any of this stuff is going to be able to change. And so stories of change to me motivates me to know that anything can change. Like anything can change, but it's going to take some things like you talked about. It's going to be kind of, identifying that pain, identifying, writing down and becoming aware of your problems and developing a vision for where you want to go and kind of double down on that mindset. But I want to ask you, so does that mean that you don't have obstacles no more, Vic? Now that now that you're doing a lot better?
What? Are you crazy? No, absolutely. Obviously I get tremendous obstacles. It's just now I have a systematic approach to my obstacles. I basically reverse engineer everything. First of all, I'm able to compartmentalize what level of obstacle is this? Is this going to impact my day type of issue? Is this going to impact my month? Is this going to impact our future? Is this going to impact my children, my wife, those type, got to compartmentalize the issue, and because everything doesn't deserve the same level of attention, and so once you've decided where that obstacle fits, now you can decide what's the approach you're going to take, and it just becomes easier. Where what happens with us a lot of times, everything is a 5 alarm fire, and it's not for real. It's not like that. And so you become, I guess now I'm just more patient, and I'm able to look at problems from all perspectives. I'm very big on DISC assessments, understanding my personality and how I operate and function. I know if it's going to require systems and being cautious and very slow to decision. Yep, that's a Miss Johnson problem. We're gonna put that in her lap. She's patient, more patient than me. She loves the analytics of things. That's not where I fit, and so I know that I need to work through her to solve those problems. But those obstacles become easier when you can compartmentalize them and give them the appropriate level of attention that they deserve, instead of looking at everything fire alarm fire, it's an emergency, everything's horrible, my life's gonna end if this doesn't get resolved. Most of the time, it's not that serious.
No, you're right, man. And I mean, I think we all guilty of that to some degree, but when you can take a step back, life almost kind of slows down to be able to make these decisions to figure out, all right, what do I need to do? You talked about reverse engineering some of these obstacles. Tell me what you mean by that and kind of give me an example if you can.
So, for example, one of the things is, we happen to look at our credit a lot of times as this one big thing that we got to deal with. But in reality, you're not going to probably go from a 620 credit score to a 720 credit score by the end of December. Let's just face that fact, right? But if you look at this and you say, well, what is my goal? My goal is to get approved for that mortgage. Okay, then get the best rate for that mortgage. I need to have at least a 680 score, or FICO score. And so, okay, well, now my problem is not I need 100 points. I just need to get to 680, which is really only 60 points away. How do I do that? And so you start to reverse engineering becomes, how can I get more points? Okay, well, maybe I pay down my credit card. That'll give me probably half of those points or 20 of those points. And, start attacking things from the reverse side of it. Another good example would be, you got a bill coming up in a few months, maybe 4 months from now, $1,000 you're going to need for something coming up in 4 months. Well, 4 months from now, you need to be saving $250 extra a month, right? It's 4 months, $250 a month. That's get you to $1,000. Okay, well, there's 4 weeks in that month. I need at least 125 every 2 weeks. And just start breaking things down into smaller chunks instead of looking at this big mountainous problem that you got to attack. Instead, you look at just small pieces of it, and you got to get those quick victories under your belt because it builds your momentum to go to the next level with it.
Well, man, one of the things that I love that you're talking about is you keep asking the question, how can I? How can I? Okay, I need 60 points. How can I? Let me tell you something, man. That is one of the most overlooked questions. And it's not even questions, it's an overlooked type of thinking. When you start asking how instead of why or what do I need to do, it's when you start saying, how can I? It's interesting. The mind almost cannot go without answering a question when it hears it. I'm going to say that again. The mind almost cannot go without answering a question once it receives it. And so think about it. Somebody asks you your name, you automatically just kind of think, oh, Vic, like, hey, man, can you get this for me? Oh, yes. Like we have been trained to answer questions. So guess what? If you start asking yourself questions about how can I do this? Somebody say stuff can't get done. No. It's funny. We were talking about this the other day. We were strategizing some stuff with one of my clients. And, this obstacle, this self-limiting belief kept coming up, and it was like, can't do that. I was like, and I just kept asking right back, like, well, how can we? It'd be like, well, we can't. I'll be like, well, how can we? They said, well, I can't. I said, well, how can we? I need you to start thinking about how can we? So I need, if you listen to this, like, how can you, right? How can you change the weight? How can you change the finances? How can you change your relationships? Guess what? You'll start getting clever because you're asking yourself the question, seek and you shall find. So,
that's right.
You talked a little bit about some of the expert stuff that you do as a certified credit consultant. Talk a little bit about what you do in terms of coaching for real estate investing. I mean, listen, folks, we talking about this dude went from where he was. He coaches people on how to fix their credit. He's a real estate investor now, multiple rental properties. Where you at right now?
I'm in Kansas City right now. We're about to pick up a duplex. Yes, sir.
He about to pick up a duplex.
Gotta keep moving, man. Gotta keep moving.
I told him, I said, you need to coach me on this real estate, man. So, tell us what you do in that. I mean, because you coach people in terms of getting their credit right, but you also do real estate investing and coaching people on how to do that as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that I figured out was, again, part of my call center world was that I would constantly go through these layoffs, because the call centers get bought by these venture capitalists. All of they're looking at is the profit. And if the numbers don't hit each quarter, you could potentially be looking at no job. And I literally lost 3 corporate jobs, management level jobs, back to back. Seemed like just as I was bouncing back from bankruptcy in 2008, looking good, boom, 2010 layoff. Then again, 2012, another layoff. And then this company that I ended up in Austin, actually with the increase, 2 years later, they went out of business. And so I got a nice severance that helped me launch pad to my next level of things. But so ultimately, I realized that I can't keep depending on these jobs because, you know, I'm making at one point 150 grand a year. And if they can just easily walk in one day and turn the lights off and disappear my income, I need to find something more stable. And so that's when I decided to start putting some of the money that I was saving now and earning more to real estate investing. And once I bought that first rent property in San Antonio, where you went to college, and ended up basically buying a little small place, figured out a way to get it done. And that property turned $10,000 out of my pocket into basically $43,000 within 2 years in profit, like cash on cash return. And so I followed that system, replicated it, did it 7 more times, made sure that it worked, and we looked at all the issues there. And obviously, as you're doing these things, people are like, "Hey, man, can you help me?" And I was able to help some people, but I also realized that people were coming from different angles. Some people didn't have the money. Some people didn't have the credit. Some people were just scared, just didn't have the experience, didn't have a good mentor, whatever it was. So that's how the book came about, Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness, how I attacked the debt, wrote it down, changed the mindset, visualized the man, did the steps, changed the habits, got into real estate investing, built a portfolio. And so I've been blessed to be able now, as you said, to be able to, you know, I'm able to now to, my impact is where I can make an income. You know, I can also make an income from beginning making an impact with people. And so I coach now. People can visit my website, Nico Don Projects, and learn more about that as well.
Man, it's a great segue. Here's what I need everybody to watch this to understand is that, you know, there were these steps that were being taken and you couldn't see it at the time, right? I love what I think it was Steve Jobs said, like, you can only connect the dots going backwards. Like you can't connect dots going forwards. And so like you had to be at that call center in order to learn certain things. You had to be at the next job in order to get some, you know, in order to get more stuff. When you're looking at, oh man, I think I made a mistake by going there. No, you gleaned something from there. You learned something from there. Something had to happen. So oftentimes I remember thinking in the past, like knowing there was something else out there for me, even as a doctor. Check this out, Victor. I'm sitting here like, man, did I make the wrong decision as a doctor? Because I wanted to be able to pour into people. I wanted to be able to coach and inspire, right? I didn't realize at the time that I needed the skills that I gleaned from being able to ask the right questions with a patient across from me to understand their pain so I can figure out how to fix it, which made me a much better coach, right? And that's just one thing, right? Like, so these things that happen in the past, I get, you may not be able to see now, but it's all connecting the dots. So if you're one of these guys who try to figure out like, man, I feel like there's something else out there for me. I feel like I'm listening to their stories. I see, you know, Victor has now turned his impact into income, and people turn their passion into profits. You hear all these different alliterative slogans, but the reality is there's a way to be able to do that. Oftentimes it is related to your pain. It means that you do have to overcome something. You do have to kind of see, you know, the scars that you have in someone else, knowing how you figured it out on your own and be able to help it for them, because now it's more than just income. It's a fulfillment that happens from it. It's a burden that you feel like you have to do to be able to help other people, that you do for free, simply because it helps somebody else and the fulfillment that you get as a result from it. But all this stuff is happening for a reason. That's the point that I'm making. Everything that's happening, it's all part of the story. It's not like, oh, that was a mistake that ain't part of the journey. No. It's all part. It adds to the story to where you're going to be at the end. And so you mentioned a book. You've got a book. I want to share people with people the book and where they can actually go to be able to get what are the steps that we talked about tonight to be able to overcome adversity. You can see it on here. Tell them a little bit about the book.
Absolutely. So definitely, you can get a copy the ebook, a free copy of it with this link that's on here now, offer.nicodonprojects.com. And actually, I have a step-by-step guide that just kind of talks about those things that I mentioned here and a couple other things that I added to my life to change things around. If you go to the same link here, offer.nicodonprojects.com slash SBS guide, as in step-by-step guide, SBS guide. For some books you can download, I got a little short video, 5 things that I did to basically change everything, and 50 things that I did to add $500 to my life. And so this is all things I've done to really get things going. And again, ultimately, it led me to the real estate investing. And now I'm able to coach people through that and become an entrepreneur. And I'm just really blessed and thankful that I'm in a position where, you know, I've always been a mentor, even in my workspace. But now I'm actually able to build a legacy, a business that I can someday pass on my family to continue helping other people overcome credit and financial challenges and all that good stuff, man. It's just, I always tell people there's a whole nother life over that 700 credit score. And so if you can get to that point and really start making better decisions with your money, you know, you'll feel happier and less stressful.
First of all, you ain't tell me this was free. Hey man, hey, if y'all watching this, I'm gonna be real with you. My man is giving away free information. He's giving away the free ebook. And then the other one is offer.nicodonprojects.com /SBS
SBS guide.
guide. And you said 50 what?
50 things I did to find an extra $500 a month. I'm telling you, bro.
You
and
giving
I'll
it
give
away,
examples
bro.
of stuff I did.
You
Like
giving it
as
away.
simple as using my surge protector to plug everything in. So like TVs, cell phones, and then when we leave in the morning to go to work, we turn off the surge protector. So now I just disabled, you know, the TV running from all day. This was pre-COVID, of course, you know, when people was not at home during the middle of the day. But just little things like that to save money. And I found $40 in my bill, you know, and that $40 would go towards a collection account. You know, just little things that I did, and it changed everything. And again, approached my money mindset got real mean for a couple years there.
Man, I'm gonna tell you. First of all, I appreciate you. Appreciate your willingness to give. Appreciate your example of pursuing your purpose with courage. And fellas, look, I'm gonna just be real with you. On the other side of pursuing what God has called you to do, which oftentimes means that there's some prior pain that you have to start helping other people with, that you've solved in your life, to be able to help them. This is what it looks like on the other side. Like, it is not work. It is just serving and having fun doing it. I got one last question for you, Vic. So there's a guy who's watching this. Let's just pretend, you know, got an obstacle in front of him, starting to realize, like, guy or girl, because we got some ladies watching it today. And if they think, yeah, I don't know if I can overcome this obstacle. Like, I don't see things changing in whatever area. What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing, you mentioned this earlier, stop saying, you know, start speaking what you really want, even though you don't see it, right? The whole point of this show is prioritize your faith. So you've got to be able to just pretend for one moment that you could actually be different than what you're experiencing in that moment. Just pretend. Just pretend, and then let that pretend thought turn into, you know what? There's a possibility. And then that possibility becomes, you know, I got a shot at that. You know, and then every day you peel back more layers, that denial, that fear, that obstacle. You know, this right here becomes the biggest obstacle in our mind, or in our life, is that we want to tell ourselves we think we know it all, and we think we know what doesn't work. Well, believe it or not, it's a lot of stuff that works, and you don't even have to know how it's going to work. You just need to know where you're trying to go. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. just know where you're trying to go and stay focused on that. I promise you, every day, little things will start happening that will push you in the direction of where you're trying to go. The big challenge becomes, are your thoughts proper? Is where you think you want to go, where you really want to go? That's the part you got to figure out. Is that really where you want to go? And you know what I figured out, the biggest thing for me, Dr. Brad, is that when I overcame a lot of these obstacles, and like you said, looking backwards, I realized I wasn't even thinking big enough. Like God was going to give me everything that I wanted. I just haven't been thinking big enough. So I started thinking bigger, and now it becomes just fall in my lap, man. It's a blessing. Yep.
Hey, man. Dude.
Hey, bro, I told you we was going to bring it today, man.
I told them they wasn't ready, man. I told them they wasn't ready, big. Oh, man. Hey, you guys, look, go check out my man with the offer. Go check him out. I mean, offer is free information. Offer.NicoDonProjects.com for the ebook. You can go same place / SBS guide to get the 50 different ways he made $500 extra a month. Vic, hey man, absolute blessing, man. Stay on here with me. We'll chop it up once we get off this broadcast. But listen, you guys, appreciate you guys checking us out today. Again, make sure you like and share this information. There's too much good information here to be able to not bless somebody else. And there is enough negative going on in this world that we need to be able to, spread out some of this positivity, right? So like and share this information with somebody that you know that's going to bless, and apply this information. Again, information plus application on your part equals transformation, and I'm gonna hold you accountable. All right, you guys, we'll see you guys next week on another episode. Heck, this might be Financial November, because a good friend of mine next week, Mr. Philip Washington, gonna be on. He's a financial wealth expert. So, matter of fact, I need to introduce you to him, Vic. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you guys next week.